Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about line in three dimensions. That's when you use line in space and you make a sculpture out of it. Something that's not flat on the paper, but something that has multiple sides. So I went to the De Young Museum in San Francisco to see a show called the De Young Open, which is a collection of artists just from the Bay Area. And there were lots of sculptures there with line that I wanted to show you. So I brought a slideshow so you can see them. So I have four artists here that were in the De Young Open, and coincidentally, they're all also women, which I didn't know when I selected these pieces to show you. I didn't know who made them. This is Spiked Curve by Ava Kennedy. Can you tell what this is made out of? If you look close, you can see screws and zip ties, things that you could find at the hardware store in your garage, just hanging around. So she made these out of found items, everyday objects. And what I love about this is the shape of it, but also the shadow in the picture on the left. Look at this three-dimensional form. It makes this flat shadow on the pedestal that's so interesting. She called this spiked curve, and she made it during the pandemic. And she wanted to create a picture of what a spiked curve kind of looks like when we talked about flattening the curve of the virus and spikes of the pandemic and the virus spreading. So that's what it looked like to her. This is called Turning by Deborah Benioff Friedman. And she likes to make things about what gets left behind, like when something changes into something else. What does this look like? Does it look kind of like a skeleton or like a leaf that disintegrated just into the veins? This one is made out of wire and paper pulp. So like paper that's been softened with water and stuck to the wires, and then you let it dry. And look at the shadow on this one too. This one is called Lace 12, Oskar Schlemmer's Dancer by Barbara M. Burke. She likes to do things related to sewing, but with items that you wouldn't usually sew with. Like this is a embroidery stitch, a particular kind of stitch that you would sew with, and she's made it out of wire. And it makes this beautiful shape after she twisted it around and made it into the form she wanted. The shadow on this one looks like a drawing. This is Bia 2 by Holly Wong, and it's made out of cut drafting paper, all different colors. And she's sort of woven them and made some stick up off the paper and some flat on the paper. And this was interesting, but when I looked at the rest of her work, look what I found. This is like a whole room full of that. I love this. You should make this in your house. Mari Andrews is another Bay Area artist who works with line in space. And she makes these sculptures out of found objects, things that she finds in and around the Bay Area, hiking and walking. There's a lot of wire and seed pods and things like that. This one is called Lichen Whirl, and you can really see the movement she's created with her line in space and the little balls of lichen attached to the end of the wire and the little pods in the center. It's almost like she's drawing, but in three dimensions. This is a picture in her studio, and you can really see how she works and the collection of things that she brings back to make sculptures out of. She's got leaves and seeds and grasses, but also combined with wire and metal and other industrial pieces that she's found or collected to incorporate into these sculptures. And you can see she really needs to think about how to put these together. How do you attach all these things and make them stay together when it's not just a flat drawing, but it's something that comes out into space? So we've looked at 5 different Bay Area artists working now who work with a variety of materials, but all work with line in three-dimensional space. So I'd like you to give it a shot. We have 2 projects we can work with. One is working with found objects, things that you find around outside from nature or from like the hardware store, from, you know, office supplies, whatever, and working with line and making some three-dimensional sculpture. And what you're going to have to think about is how do you attach these things? And the other project is it's a paper sculpture challenge. So I'll show you a little bit more about what I mean. So your challenge is to get a piece of paper and make at least 10 different shapes, folding or gluing however you want with the paper. Here's sort of a fringed circle, a spiral, this is sort of a crumpled spiral, figure eight, plain old circle, whatever you want to call that, a little cone, anything. Get creative, make whatever you want. Just play with it. So make at least 10 shapes, and then when you're done, pick your favorite. This one is my favorite, the little conical shape. Once you do your favorite, I want you to make 50 of them. Then you can take some sort of paper to be your base. I have a cut up grocery bag. You can use anything. You can use a piece of cardboard, another piece of paper, maybe color the paper to give it a background, like a solid color. You use newspaper, whatever you want. And you want to take your multiples of your object and arrange them in a way that you like. Make a composition. Use your whole page. Make it like a picture or something that builds up like a relief sculpture. So make something with your multiples. You could build it up really tall. You could keep it sort of on the page but sticking out. So I gave it a shot arranging my little shapes, and this is what I came up with. So I can't wait to see what you come up with.